Hey there, folks. It's JD Cannon, and I'm here with Marvin Dockstader Jr. And we're just going to chat a little bit today about removing obstacles and getting unstuck, and how that relates to all the different areas of your life. So if you are someone that is stuck and struggling and having trouble overcoming those obstacles, I'm sure you're going to find this really informative and take some value away from this. So Marvin. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the process you use and have used in your own life in terms of getting unstuck or identifying when there's an obstacle and being able to solve that problem and move past it.
Okay, thanks. So this is something I struggled with for a lot of my life. I think everyone struggles with it, and I still do today. The first thing I like to do is number one, identify that there is a problem. Usually it's because I can identify that because hey, maybe I feel upset or something isn't quite going my way. And that's a clear indicator that, hey, maybe there's a situation here somewhere that I need to look at, that I need to straighten out. So that'd be the first thing I do is, see if I can find the upset. What is the upset occur? Maybe, for instance, I get home and maybe my wife and my daughter aren't getting along. And, they're going at each other, and they, I get home, they want me to pick sides. So that'd be a typical situation where I would have to, look at the situation, step back, and look at the facts of what exactly is going on in that situation. Kind of take the emotions of my own emotions and the emotions of others out of it, and see exactly what's going on in the situation, what's functioning, what's working and what's not. Let's do more of what's working and less of what's not.
Yeah. I think that's probably the challenge for people, is being able to take a step back and remove the emotional element and look at it as a facts-based dissection, I guess. I think that's where a lot of people struggle, right? Is the ability to not look at it as an emotional circumstance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and it's gonna be. It's gonna be. It's not something that's easy, and sometimes even I'll just have to give it. Maybe go for a walk. That'd be one thing I would do. But the number one thing to do is realize when you're in an emotional state, that is not a good state for you to be making decisions. And as long as you can identify that, then you can decide, okay, I'm not going to make any decisions right now, and wait until you're in a better state where you can make good decisions.
Yeah. And I think that's where things deteriorate, right? Is when people are making decisions emotionally. And I think it's a natural human instinct to do that, because you're doing that trying to create the solution that you want, as opposed to the solution that's best for the situation.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of times I'll, like I said, taking walks. That's a great thing to do. Or sometimes I'll just put the situation on hold for a couple of days if that's an option. I know sometimes it's not. And usually, sometimes when you do that, the situation will just work itself out. Whereas you didn't have to actually do anything but put it on hold and let everyone cool off and let yourself cool off. And usually the solutions, once you do that, it's usually quite simple. And usually you know exactly what it is once it's been deflated.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I would do is look at it and see if there's a way to deflate it.
Yeah. What happens if time doesn't permit, though? Like, for you to put it on hold? What happens if it's something that needs an immediate decision or immediate fix?
Well, one thing I'll do is I'll just I'll step back and imagine I'm someone else. I'm someone unbiased in the situation. It's not connected to it, and look at it and say, okay, well, if I was walking around here and didn't know this or that or whatever it is that I know that maybe I'm being emotional about, just try to remove that element somehow. And that helps me see a little bit better at, gather information a little bit better when you're unbiased that way, so that you can make a better decision. But the number one thing is just to, that's helped me is just understanding that you are in that state and that you're not in a good state to make decisions. Just knowing that, you're going to make better decisions.
So basically understanding that you're in an emotional state, and that's not the best state to be in to make decisions or to solve the problem or to move beyond it, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if something's bothering you, you probably shouldn't be making decisions about it. I mean.
Yeah. So how do you? But I think that's probably the biggest challenge for every human being is that transition, right? That transitional element, if you're in that emotional state and you're trying to stop yourself so you don't make a bad decision, is getting to that place of understanding. It's sometimes hard for people to pull back from that, right? So, is there like an exercise or something that you do to identify that you need to take that break?
Well, it's definitely a skill that you got to exercise. And the biggest thing that I started doing is just looking for those moments when I would become upset, and just looking at them, just look inside. That's really where it starts. And it's not something you're going to just wake up one day and be able to, you're going to have mastered. It's something you work at every day. But just identifying that's just looking at them, and if you get mad and yell at somebody, whatever, you got mad and yelled at somebody. But as long as you understand and you can look at the situation, even if you just look at it after and realize that, hey, I was upset, maybe I shouldn't have had that conversation. That's a win. I mean, that's taking a bad situation and turning it into a win, because now you're learning something from it. And so it's not about necessarily being able to just control yourself right away. It's just about understanding first. You have to get a basic understanding of yourself and why you're actually doing things.
Yeah, when everyone is in an argument, whether it's 2 parties or 3 parties or 4 parties, everyone wants to win that argument, right? So logic kind of goes away, and I think that's where things disintegrate, right? Is because your aggression and your anger in the moment and your emotion in the moment, it's almost the only way you're going to get satisfaction is by winning that argument or winning that battle or whatever it is. And that's not necessarily the logical path, right? You may win that argument by approaching it differently, by taking a break, like you said, and then the other person may realize that they've messed up. Or by taking a break and realizing that you've messed up. So, you're never going to, I don't think you're ever going to, I don't think an argument is ever won in the heat of the moment. That's for sure. No.
And one way I look at it that helps me is, nobody likes conceding. But the way I look at it is, how much energy am I going to exert in this situation to get a certain result?
Yeah.
And if you move time a little bit, you can, like, say you were to try to get that result a day or 2 from now, and things are a little different. It'll be a lot easier and you can exert.
Yeah, so I guess just assessing, if you sit on that for a couple of days, what's going to change in your world, right?
Right.
So take a couple of days or a little bit of time to assess it so you can make a better decision and separate yourself from the emotional element. Is life going to change if you wait a couple hours or an extra day or an extra couple of days so that you can make a better decision or or handle the situation with the emotion removed from it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if someone's opposing you and arguing with you, usually the cost to win that is going to be really high. So a lot of times it's better just to sit on it if you can. You know, sometimes you can.
Yeah. No, that's a great progression for that situation, I think. Right. So, you know, don't make decisions when you're emotional. You know, understand that you are probably going to get emotional in that circumstance, and I think that depends on the person you're interacting with or your own personality, and then being able to move time, right, to take some time to evaluate that. I think those three things are really, really important. So we're talking about this, we're relating this more to a personal circumstance. How does this relate to other areas of life, like in terms of, say, your profession, what you do for a living?
At work I do this all the time. Like say I've got work in sales. Say I'm trying to get a customer to buy a certain product or something, and I walk in and they're just very upset that day. And a lot of times it's nothing to do with me most of the time, but I can analyze and pick up what their state is. And if they're upset, it's probably not the best time for me to do that. So I'll do is I'll come back a couple of days later and the situation will be a lot different. It'll be a lot, and I know they're going to be a lot more receptive to what I have to say. And then I'll hit them up.
So if you're from a sales perspective, if you have the ability to assess your potential client's mood, can dramatically affect the outcome of the sales process. Obviously, if they're distracted or stressed or other issues at the moment you're trying to sell to them, it's probably not going to have the best outcome.
Yeah, and it's even more than sales. Say they owe me some money and I needed to go collect. If they say they just got in a big fight with someone there, that probably wouldn't be the best time for me to go, hey, can you write me a check? I mean, sometimes you got to do it, but
because they're in a combative, they're in a combative state of mind, right? So anyone that comes at them asking for something is going to probably be the brunt of that. Yeah. So assessing, a client or customer's mood, it's probably a tool that's missing from customer service and sales is a person's expertise to be able to assess a client's mood or personality or what's happening in their day. I myself always ask someone at the beginning of a process like that, is it a good time for you to talk? Because then you're getting their permission. If they say yes, psychologically their own mood is, yeah, it's a good time for me to talk. They're telling themselves it's a good time to talk, which is a good way to proceed, especially for sales, because you're getting them to say yes, and they've kind of accepted that, yeah, it's a good time for me to talk. They're not just saying yes to me, they're saying yes to themselves. So I always ask that question. I always say, is it a good time for you to talk? Is now a good time? I always find that's a good way to proceed. And if they say, no, it's not a good time right now, I'm having some issues that I need to solve, that's a pretty good signal to move on, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And
that's that adage that you said about moving time, right? Moving time can have a dramatic difference, when you approach something in a different time and space on what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And, sometimes when I go in and see they're upset, maybe I'll just go listen to them, whatever they have to say. I do it at home all the time. Just listening to people, a lot of times that'll deflate the situation. Just them knowing that someone heard about whatever is bothering them. And even at work, just going in, someone's upset, customer, employee, whatever. Just go listen to them, let them get it out. And then a lot of times, just because you were there to listen to them, then you can hit them up for the sale or whatever it is that you need it from them. So that's another tool that you can use. Besides moving the time, if that's not an option, it's just listening.
Yeah, which lends itself to being empathetic, right? And when you're seen as that kind of person in someone else's life, um, it changes the dynamic of that relationship, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. All right. Any other really important point you would want to throw in there in terms of overcoming these types of situations or obstacles in your life?
Encouragement is huge. Staying encouraged, being able to take every situation and turn it into a win. That's really key. No matter what it is, you're going to make mistakes. The people around you are going to make mistakes. I mean, that's just the world we live in, and it's a great world to live in because we can learn so much from that. And so, anytime there's an upset, first I'll see, hey, is there any way I can fix this? Like say it's a relationship with the customer. Is there any way I can repair this? That's the number one thing I'm looking at. And then if there is a way for me to repair it, then I'll look at, okay, well, what else can we do here to create opportunity? And just keep your eyes open and be shocked at how much opportunity there is at fixing a situation. You can make that situation way better than it was in the first place. And if there's not, you just you learn what worked there. Look at the situation and look what was working and what was dysfunctional, and you learn from that. And maybe you can see some other situations that are kind of like that and change them before they're insolvent. And that way, that went into a win.
So if it's a situation you can't fix, you have to dissect it and look at, why wasn't I able to fix it, and kind of what I can do differently next time to avoid it turning into that type of situation.
Right. That's kind of a trap too. You gotta. I mean, it's very rare to actually have a situation that's not salvageable. Most of them are. It's just a lot of times you don't understand how.
Yeah.
So it's important to grow that way and try it 1,000% to salvage it before you let it go.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, that's all great information. Listen, I think it's something really valuable, and I think a lot of it is just about practicing, right? People don't practice that enough. They get caught up in emotional states and don't allow themselves. They can't see a path, I guess, to a solution because they're so embedded in some type of emotional state or situation. So the ability to approach it this way, sort of with different steps, I think is something that could be beneficial to people that do get caught up in a lot of situations like this in their lives. And the outcome ultimately, I think, is going to create a dramatic change in their life, particularly if they're approaching these situations with the ability to take a step back and move time and handle the situations without emotion. But again, like you said, it's not something that happens overnight, right? It's something that has to be practiced till you get to a stage where you can handle most of the situations in the space of your day or life with that mindset of hey, like if I try and tackle this right now, it could get messy. Maybe now is not the time.
Yeah. And responsibility. You don't take as much responsibility as you can. Anywhere you can find something that you're responsible for, take it, own it.
Yeah. Well, it's a great way to move forward. Cool. Well, that's great. That's all good information. It's good. Hopefully there's some people that can take away from this conversation some of those elements and start to apply them to the problem areas they have in their life and change their mindset in how they approach those situations. I have no doubt if they do, they'll start to see a difference in the quality of their lives and the outcome of those situations for sure. But yeah, anyways, I appreciate you taking the time to chat today, and I look forward to chatting again in the near future with you about these mindset situations.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks.
Thanks, Marvin.